What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sharkpool. Now, today we're going to be talking about Far Cry 5, and we're just going to hit the ground running right now. They released a trailer today. It is May 26th, 2017. They've been releasing teasers for like the last week, basically letting us know what their new game is going to be. And I just have some thoughts about like what we've seen so far, and maybe some influences that basically influence this game, and where I hope to see this game going, because it doesn't release until February of next year, so we've got some time to really get some details, but for right now, it's just initial impressions. So throughout the week, if you guys haven't, go ahead and take a look at all the teaser trailers that they've released. They released about 4 of them, and they're so cool because they're just like environment shots. That's basically what it is. It's just like a camera on an environment. Some of them are moving, some of them aren't. But like each of them has some like this very dark undertone, and it is it's just so well done. I was just blown away by how good that was. Honestly, it just sets like an eerie tone. Like there's not a lot happening, but there's just those dark undertones that really makes me like intrigued. Like I want to know more. Probably the best teaser trailers I've seen, like just so well done since Dead Island's trailer back in the day. So that's saying something. I really like Dead Island's trailer, not so much the game, so it's fine. So moving on to like the details of the game. We're not going to talk about these much, but basically you're the new junior deputy in Hope County, Montana, whereas the setting for the game is taking place. And you come into your position right before the cult takes over. So like this basically like Scientology-esque cult pretty much takes over the town when you take junior deputy. Who knows if your whole staff is like killed or something and you're like the last one left, or you know they were bought out by like they're part of the cult. Like I could see that happening. You know, like you join in, but then there's some of them in the police force that like are part of this cult, and that like helps deteriorate the hierarchy in this town, pretty much just turn it into chaos and under the cult's control. I can totally see that happening. And then like you're left alone to like kind of build a group of people to take him down. There's character customization for the first time. You can choose your gender of the main character, or your race. I'm not sure if that leads to, are we going to have equipment in this game? Is it going to take like more of an RPG tone, where like, you know, there's loot drops, picking up equipment, visual representations of your progress. Shout out to Monster Hunter. There's animal recruitment is back from Primal, but it's not going to be like the typical animal recruitment from Primal, because Primal you could get like saber-tooth tigers and shit like that. But it's going to be more like dogs, and who knows if you can do bears or not. That'd be awesome. But I know that there are bears in there because, you know, Montana, the mountains, whatever. So animal recruitment's back. That's pretty cool. But that's pretty much it for like just the top level stuff. Now let's dive a little deeper in there. You know what I'm saying? We're called Sharkpool for a reason. Let's dive into the deep end. We're gonna make some stretches right now. So why this makes sense? The setting of Far Cry 5. Why does this make sense to set it in America? So this is the first Far Cry game set in America. You know, so when you think about it, Far Cry's always gone to exotic locations where, you know, anarchy could be a thing, be a real thing, a believable, basically how society works as anarchy. And, you know, they can be at war because it's somewhere where we're not familiar, or at least Americans aren't familiar. But setting it in America in the current times makes a lot of sense, because Far Cry makes its, you know, slices its bread with the knife of prominent figures, if I may say so. You know, like you got Voss, you got Pagan Min, you've got all these iconic, larger-than-life characters. And if you look at America right now, we have a lot of prominent, larger-than-life characters. Makes sense, because, you know, I mean, we've always had the brand name American people, but, I mean, I don't know, like, right now, it seems like, you know, like, there could be people against them. You know what I'm saying? And also it's talking about like, you know, this is a remote location in Montana. So how could this happen in such a modernized society? Well, they've said, you know, the cult takes over this small town in Montana, and basically cuts all communication off to like the outside world. So no one can really get a word out like what is happening. So that kind of makes sense, but it's also, there was an interview where the guy said that this is basically the cult who, they don't trust the government, and they're going to take matters into their own hands, and, they think that the end of the world is coming, so, they're preparing. That makes a lot of sense because, currently, I wouldn't say no to the fact that there is maybe a group of people out there that, thinks that the end times are coming, they don't trust the government, that, they need to take matters into their own hands. That makes a lot of sense because, it's pretty much feeding on the paranoia of the masses now, because these aren't the most, at ease days, I'm trying to say, maybe something like that, these aren't the easiest days for the masses, I guess you could say. So it's kind of feeding on that. And I like it because it's at a perfect time to set a Far Cry game in America. And I really like it. And also when I'm watching these trailers, hearing about this game, the one thing that sticks out to me is I can see clear, maybe not cut and dry, but I mean, there are influences from Deliverance. Deliverance, if you don't know, there was a movie in the 70s called Deliverance. It's about 4 city friends who go down to rural Georgia for a vacation or something like that, and they pretty much, the locals are crazy hillbillies and try to kill them the whole time. So it's this crazy thriller horror movie, and basically they go down to Georgia, and this is what I see when I see Far Cry 5. You're gonna show up to this town, you're the new deputy in town, and the locals are just crazy, it's crazy hillbillies and stuff like that, which I really like. I really hope they keep that too. I don't want to take a lot of keys from horror games or horror films, because I'm not a horror guy at all, not for me. But if they take the suspense and the thrill of always being watched, The Hills Have Eyes or something like that, you know what I'm saying? If they really take that and run with it, that's gonna be awesome, because I want the environment and the aesthetic of everything to be tense and suspenseful. Even there's no safe place to go, because these people own the town. This cult owns the town. It also reminds me of Point Lookout. That was the DLC for Fallout 3 back in the day. It was Maryland, hillbillies, nuclear, stuff like that. But it's not nuclear this time, so it's fine. As we can tell, religious themes all over the place. You got the cult. Hope County, the sign has sinner written above it. So it's setting very, very bold and very out there religious tones. But also there's the 7 deadly sins are written on one of the guys, who I assume is going to be a main character. He's got the 7 deadly sins written on him, and then in one of the trailers there's a scene where there's a dead body with a stake, basically the cross of the cult is through the body, and it says gluttony spray painted on the water tower behind him. So I feel the 7 deadly sins are going to take a big role in this, you know what I'm saying? Those are going to be story keys. Maybe these people are looking for sinners based off of the 7 deadly sins, which would be pretty cool. I like that. I like referential stuff. And kind of what I hope for this game to go forward with it, how it turns out, is I really hope for something that resembles Children of the Corn. Now, the Children of the Corn is basically these adults show up to this town and find a dead body, basically a dead body of a kid, and they enter this town that is run by nothing but children. Basically, they are all this children cult, and then these children are trying to kill these older people. And then basically what that movie does is it's almost this fairyland, fairy tale, where these children are living in their own world, without any regard for outside world interference. They believe that is their world, and that they own it, and they can do whatever they want with no repercussions. What I hope happens is at the end of the movie or the end of the game, Hope County is such a war zone, there's so much stuff happening, but then the FBI, the National Guard show up, and then it's just what are you guys doing? What is wrong with all of you? And I hope the main character, in typical fashion, with 3, how the main character slowly becomes insane and becomes what he despises most. I hope that theme continues, and then the National Guard and the president shows up and he's what are you guys doing? Stop. And then just throws all of them in jail or whatever. So I feel that would be a really cool thing to have, just you show up and you're in this world. like, and the cult believes that there's no outside interference, like they rule this world, and then at the end, like the army shows up, they're like, guys, you can't do this, and like includes you in that as well. I feel like that'd be a really, really neat way for them to kind of bring this and see some outside influences, but also, you know, kind of blaze their own trail. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that was it for my impressions so far of Far Cry 5. So if you guys have any thoughts on Far Cry 5, go down in the comments. Let's have a conversation about that. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe if you like this video. Hit it a like, smash that like button. You don't really have to, I don't really care that much, but it's fine. More videos coming out soon. Ladies and gentlemen, take it easy. Shane Walters, peace.